The merchant had no mind to sacrifice his daughters to the ugly monster, but he thought, in obtaining this respite, he should have the satisfaction of seeing them once more. So he promised, upon oath, he would return. And the beast told him he might set out when he pleased. But, he added, you shall not depart empty-handed. Go back to the room where you lay, and you will see a great empty chest. Fill it with whatever you like best, and I will send it to your home. And at the same time, the beast left. Well, said the good merchant to himself, if I must die, I shall have the comfort at least of leaving something to my poor children. He returned to the bedchamber, and finding a great quantity of broad pieces of gold, he filled the great chest the beast had mentioned, locked it, and afterwards took his horse out of the stable, leaving the palace with as much grief as he had entered it with joy. The horse, of his own accord, took one of the roads of the forest, and in a few hours the good man was at home. His children came around him, but instead of receiving their embraces with pleasure, he looked on them, and holding up the branch he had in his hands, he burst into tears. "Here, Beauty," he said, "take these roses, and please think about your unhappy father." And then he related his fatal adventure. Immediately the two eldest set up lamentable outcries, and said all manner of ill-natured things to Beauty, who did not cry at all. "Do but see the pride of that little wretch," they said. "She would not ask for fine clothes as we did, but no, Miss wanted to distinguish herself, so now she will be the death of our poor father, and yet she does not so much as shed a tear." "Why should I?" answered Beauty. "It would be very needless, for my father shall not suffer upon my account. Since the monster will accept one of his daughters, I will deliver myself to his fury, and I am very happy in thinking that my death will save my father's life, and be a proof of my tender love for him." "No, sister," said her three brothers, "that shall not be. We will go find the monster, and we will either perish in an attempt, or we will succeed in stopping him." "Do not imagine any such things, my son," said the merchant. "Beast's power is so great that I have no hopes of your overcoming him. I am charmed with Beauty's kind and generous offer, but I cannot yield to it. I am old and have not long to live, so can only lose a few years, which I regret for your sakes alone, my dear children." "Indeed, father," said Beauty, "you shall not go to the palace without me. You cannot hinder me from following you." And her siblings and father realized that there was nothing they could say to change her mind. Beauty still insisted on setting out for the fine palace, and her sisters were delighted at it, for her virtue and amiable qualities made them envious and jealous. The merchant was so afflicted at the thoughts of losing his daughter that he had quite forgot the chest full of gold, but at night, when he retired to rest, no sooner had he shut his chamber door than, to his great astonishment, he found it by his bedside. He was determined, however, not to tell his children that he has grown rich, because they would have wanted to return to town, and he was resolved not to leave the country. But he trusted Beauty with the secret, who informed him that two gentlemen came in his absence and courted her sisters. She begged her father to consent to their marriage and give them fortunes, for she was so good that she loved them and forgave heartily all their ill usage. These wicked creatures rubbed their eyes with an onion to force some tears when they parted with their sister. But her brothers were really concerned. Beauty was the only one who did not shed tears at parting because she would not increase their uneasiness. The horse took the direct road to the palace, and towards evening they perceived it illuminated as at first. The horse went on himself into the stable, and the good man and his daughter came into the great hall, where they found a table splendidly served up, and 2 covers. The merchant had no heart to eat, but Beauty, endeavoring to appear cheerful, sat down at the table and helped him. Afterwards, she thought to herself, he surely has a mind to fatten me before he eats me, since he provides such plentiful entertainment. When they had supped, and they heard a great noise, and the merchant, all in tears, bid his poor child farewell, for he thought Beast was coming. Beauty was sadly terrified at his horrid form, but she took courage as well as she could, and the monster having asked her if she came willingly, Yes, yes, she said, trembling. The Beast responded, You are very good, and I am greatly obliged to you. Honest man, go your ways tomorrow morning, but never think of coming here again. Farewell, Beauty, farewell, Beast, he answered, and immediately the monster withdrew. Oh, daughter, said the merchant, embracing Beauty, I am almost frightened to death, believe me. You better go back and let me stay here. No, father, said Beauty, in a resolute tone. You shall set out tomorrow morning, and leave me to the care and protection of Providence. They went to bed, and thought they should not close their eyes all night, but scarce were they laid down, then they fell fast asleep. And Beauty dreamed a fine lady came and said to her, I am content, Beauty, with your good will. This good action of yours in giving up your own life to save your father's shall not go unrewarded. Beauty woke and told her father her dream, and though it helped to comfort him a little, he could not help crying bitterly when he took leave of his dear child. As soon as he was gone, Beauty sat down in the great hall, and fell crying likewise. But as she was mistress of a great deal of resolution, she recommended herself to God, and resolved not to be uneasy the little time she had to live, for she firmly believed Beast would eat her up that night. However, she thought she might as well walk about until then, and view this fine castle, which she could not help admiring. It was a delightful, pleasant place, and she was extremely surprised at seeing a door, over which was written, Beauty's apartment. She opened it hastily, and was quite dazzled with the magnificence that reigned throughout. But what chiefly took up her attention was a large library, a harpsichord, and several music books. Well, she said to herself, I see they will not let my time hang heavy upon my hands, for they want amusement. Then she reflected, were I but to stay here a day, there would not have been all these preparations. This consideration inspired her with fresh courage, and opening the library, she took a book and read these words in letters of gold. Welcome, Beauty, banish fear. You are queen and mistress here. Speak your wishes, speak your will, swift obedience meets them still. Alas, she said with a sigh, there is nothing I desire so much as to see my poor father and know what he is doing. She had no sooner said this when, casting her eyes on a great looking-glass, to her great amazement, she saw her own home, where her father arrived with a very dejected countenance. Her sisters went to meet him, and notwithstanding their endeavors to appear sorrowful, their joy, felt for having got rid of their sister, was visible in every feature. A moment after, everything disappeared, and Beauty's apprehensions at this proof of Beast's compliance. At noon she found dinner ready, and while at the table she was entertained with an excellent concert of music, though without seeing anybody. But at night, as she was going to sit down to supper, she heard the noise Beast made, and could not help being sadly terrified. "Beauty," said the monster, "will you give me permission to join you as you eat?" "That is as you please," answered Beauty, trembling. "No," replied the Beast, "you alone are mistress here. You need only bid me gone, if my presence is troublesome, and I will immediately withdraw. But tell me, do you think me very ugly?" "That is true," said Beauty, "for I cannot tell a lie. But I believe you are very good-natured." "So I am," said the monster, "but then, besides my ugliness, I have no sense. I know very well that I am a poor, silly, stupid creature." "'Tis no sign of folly to think so," replied Beauty, "for never did fool know this, or had so humble a conceit of his own understanding." "Eat, then, Beauty," said the monster, "and endeavor to amuse yourself in your palace, for everything here is yours, and I should be very uneasy if you were not happy." "You are very obliging," answered Beauty. "I own I am pleased with your kindness, and when I consider that, your deformity scarce appears." "Yes, yes," said the Beast, "my heart is good, but still I am a monster." "Among mankind," Beauty said, "there are many that deserve that name more than you, and I prefer you, just as you are, to those who, under a human form, had a treacherous, corrupt, and ungrateful heart." "If I had sense enough," replied the Beast, "I would make a fine compliment to thank you. But I am so dull that I can only say I am greatly obliged to you." To be continued. Here ends Part 2.